Money is like a control panel. The gauges can jump, the lights can get brighter, and yet the car still doesn't move any faster. A lot of people see the number $100,000 a year and believe that's when life finally becomes okay. But sometimes that number is simply when the system tightens its grip. If you watch this to the end, I will give you a simple map. Not a get-rich-quick fantasy, but a way to build wealth over time, understand why the economy keeps reaching into your wallet, and avoid traps that make you earn more while feeling poorer. Here's the curiosity gap. There is a rule that sounds ridiculous. A raise can make you poorer in the very first month. Before we go deeper, I have to say it clearly. This is entertainment, not financial advice. Every character and visual is only for illustration. But the feeling you have, working harder and still not getting ahead, that part is real. And it isn't just your fault. There is a number burned into our minds like a trophy sitting at the end of the road. $100,000 a year. Adults told us, study, grind, reach that, and you'll be safe. The culture around us repeats it too. 6 figures is the ticket out of anxiety. I once met a friend, let's call him Daniel, 29, working a white-collar job, answering work messages like he's on call. In December of the year 2025, Daniel got promoted. He opened his phone, saw the new salary offer, exactly $100,000, and his heart sped up like he'd won something big. Daniel called his mom, smiling, saying, "I made it." 6 months later, on a Tuesday night, Daniel looked at his bank account and went quiet. Not because it was low, but because it was lower than when he made $60,000. More debt, less time, thicker stress. His savings didn't grow, it shrank like a plant starved of sunlight. If you're nodding right now, you're not broken, you're not lazy, and you're not dumb. You're standing inside a press that squeezes from 2 directions, money and time. The strange part is, the faster you try to run, the stronger the headwind becomes. And the worst part is, it convinces you that you are losing when you are simply playing a game with unfair rules. I call people like Daniel high earners, not rich yet. It sounds fancy, but it often means trapped. You're skilled enough to be paid well, but not free enough to run your own life. You're busy enough to spend for convenience, but not calm enough to see the leaks. You're close enough to the dream that you become terrified of falling behind. The first problem is that our brains are still looking at money through an old memory. 100,000 used to be a high platform, putting you in a different tier. But after years of prices rising little by little, that platform got lower, and we didn't notice. The label looks premium, but the wind still cuts through. Think of your income like a cup of water, and life like a container that keeps expanding. The cup gets fuller, but the container grows too, sometimes faster. Rent, insurance, transportation, groceries, all of it rises like a habit. You don't feel one big shock, you feel a small bite every month. But if it were only inflation, the solution would be simpler. The real pain is the automatic doors. You cross an invisible threshold, and a door slams shut. Not because you're rich, but because you are now considered too okay to get help. You earn a little more, but you lose a benefit, and what you lose can be bigger than what you gained. I want you to remember this image. You're climbing stairs, but some steps have oil on them. You step up, your foot slips, and you land right where you started. Then you blame yourself. But the problem isn't your foot. The problem is the invisible oil. Most people only discover it after they've signed the contract, accepted the salary, and committed to a bigger life. Daniel told me something painfully normal. When his pay went up, he thought he finally had extra room each month. But in the first month, the deductions grew, and some small supports he relied on started fading away. It all happened with machine coldness, like software. Nobody hated him, nobody cared, and that's what made it worse. He only saw the final result: more work, less left. Here's where I don't want you drowning in anger. Anger makes you buy something to numb yourself, and then you leak more money. That's the second trap, the psychological one. It's more subtle than taxes, and it's harder to see. When you hit 6 figures, society starts handing you a script. You should look like a successful person. You should drive a car that looks trustworthy, live in the right neighborhood, wear the right kind of clothes, take the right kind of vacations. No one forces you to sign that script, but everyone looks at you like you already did. Gen Z has a phrase that fits perfectly here: dopamine spending. You scroll, you see unboxings, upgrades, renovations, soft life content, and your brain learns a fast lesson. Buy something, feel lighter for a few minutes. Then the next morning, you're still you, and your credit card is older. That quick hit turns into a habit, and the habit turns into a leak. I call it the conformity tax. You pay to feel like you belong. No one needs to shame you. You shame yourself for using old things. You start believing a small apartment is embarrassing, even when that small apartment is saving you. You raise your standards, not because you need to, but because you fear being judged. There's a modern kind of leak that's almost invisible because it's so small. A few dollars here, a few tens there for services you barely use. Music, streaming, storage, subscriptions, buy now, pay later plans. They sit quietly like dust, but together they become a thick fog. You don't feel like you're burning money because nothing is on fire. It just keeps draining. I once did a simple 10-minute test with friends. No complicated math. Just open your recurring payments and read each line like it's a debt list. A lot of people laughed awkwardly, then went silent. Not because they made one huge mistake, but because they agreed to spend a little every month forever. And once you start living by the success script, you do something dangerous. You build a house for your income level. Not a real house, a system of costs. Rent or mortgage, cars, insurance, food, experiences, all stacked into a structure. That structure only stands if your paycheck keeps flowing. You're no longer living, you're operating a consumption machine. Daniel said something to me that sounded bitter but honest. I'm not afraid of work, he said. I'm afraid of the day I can't work. That is when the trap shows its face. You don't choose your job anymore. Your job chooses you. You can't change direction because you're dragging too much baggage. You tolerate things you never should have to tolerate. Now I want you to look at the scariest part. The time tax. Many high-paying jobs don't take more hours. They take your mind. You leave the office, but your head stays there. Late messages, dragged-out meetings, unspoken expectations, not written in your contract, but written into your sleep. When time gets shredded, you start buying time with money. You order food because you're too tired to cook. You pay for convenience because you're too busy to think. You hire help because you need one quiet evening. None of that is evil. The problem is you need it just to survive the rhythm your job created. You are paying a fee to tolerate the way you earn money. This is where people think they're weak, so they try to toughen up. They take another project, another late night, another certification, as if enough speed will set them free. But if you're running on a treadmill, speed only makes you sweat more. You don't go anywhere. You just collapse faster. I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm saying it so you can change perspective. Because the right perspective is the first step toward freedom. The number on your paycheck is just the speed of cash passing through your hands. What matters is what stays, and what disappears through cracks you never noticed. In the next part, I will give you the escape map. Simple, practical moves that might irritate your ego but protect your future. You will see how to step out of the social script, how to send money to the right place before you can spend it, and how to build a life with breathing room. But before we go there, ask yourself one question. If you lose your job tomorrow, can you stay calm for 1 month? If that question makes you quiet, you are exactly where you need to be. If the question, if I lose my job tomorrow, can I stay calm for 1 month, made you go quiet, then this part is for you. I am not here to teach you how to live painfully. I am here to give you back the one thing a 6-figure salary on paper does not automatically bring, the power to choose. And that power is always purchased with one thing, the gap between what you earn and what you spend. A lot of people think freedom means having more money. The truth is colder. Freedom means having fewer chains. You can earn a lot, but if every month you must feed a machine that consumes everything, you are working for that machine. You do not need to be a millionaire to breathe. I want you to picture life like a ship and fixed expenses like anchors. Anchors do not sink the ship, they simply keep it from moving. You increase the engine power, the ship roars, water sprays, but the nose of the ship does not go anywhere. The cruel part is you think you are moving forward, because you are too tired to look down at the bottom. To escape, The first step is not saving like a robot. The first step is cutting the wire that runs from your ego to your wallet. Plainly, you must separate your identity from your salary. You are not the car you drive. You are not the home you live in. You are not the trip you post online. There is something strange about human psychology. When income rises, the brain starts inventing reasons to raise your lifestyle. You do not call it spending, you call it "I deserve it." You do not say you are showing off, you say you need a professional image. I call this the invisible trap, lifestyle inflation. It does not arrive with one big decision. It arrives with 10 small ones. A pricier phone plan, a better gym, a more expensive coffee habit, a trip that looks right, and then one day you cannot remember your old baseline. So where's the map? It lives inside a strategy that sounds a little offensive, but works. Increase your income if you can, but do not upgrade your life immediately. You do not need to pretend you are poor. You just need to keep your lifestyle frame steady long enough to create a gap. I want you to imagine you just got a raise. If that extra money lands in your main checking account, your brain will label it money to spend. The brain is not evil. It is doing its job, reducing stress and increasing short-term comfort. That is why the smartest move is to not let your brain see it. This is rule number 1. Money must go to the right place before it can be persuaded. You can call it invisible money. It disappears from your eyes, but shows up in your future. The moment your paycheck arrives, a portion automatically flows into a separate account away from spending. You do not need iron discipline. A lot of people hear this and immediately ask, where does it flow? What do I invest in? I do not chase shiny names. I only remind you of one safe principle. Only use what you understand. For beginners, that can be a broad market fund, a retirement account depending on where you live, or a simple portfolio you add to regularly. But before accumulation, I want to talk about something even more important, the buffer. If you do not have an emergency cushion, every investing plan becomes fragile. When a shock hits, you will pull money out at the worst moment. You will sell in panic, then conclude, investing is only for rich people. A buffer is money that prevents you from making decisions inside fear. You do not need 2 years like a bragging story. You need enough so your brain stops panicking when life happens. It is like an oxygen tank. It does not make you run faster. It simply keeps you from suffocating. The second map is reducing the number of anchors. I am not telling you to kill all joy. I am telling you to see what is locking you in place. A long car payment, a house that stretches you, a buy now, pay later plan for new gadgets. Those things do not just take money, they take your future. If you are earning decent money, I suggest something that sounds small but is brutally effective. Look straight at your fixed monthly costs. Fixed costs are the jailer because they do not need you to fail. They only need you to be consistent. The third map is resisting the conformity tax. Standards surround you, coworkers upgrade cars, neighbors remodel, social media shows vacations, and you feel behind. That feeling is a product sold every day, so you will buy stuff. And when you buy, you think you win, but you just paid a fee for a feeling? There is a simple counterattack. Stop consuming the content that triggers you to spend. If you know you are prone to dopamine spending, reduce exposure. You do not have to ban yourself from buying. You just have to ban the bait. I once spoke with another friend, Maya, 32 years old, strong income, and always tight at the end of the month. Maya thought she had a personal flaw because she could not hold on to money. I did not argue. I only asked, when you are exhausted, what do you do? Maya said she orders food, buys little things, watches shows, scrolls late into the night. When you understand spending as pain relief, you stop hating yourself. You see the real problem. Your job is draining you so hard you must buy energy back with money. That means you need the fourth map, protecting your energy. Because energy is the root of money. You do not have to quit your job tomorrow. But you do need boundaries. Boundaries strong enough that you stop buying pain relief every night. One evening with no email, 1 hour with no notifications, one home-cooked meal, one full night of sleep. It sounds simple. But it saves more than you think. It reduces spending, and it keeps your earning power stable. Now I return to the sharpest pain, the golden handcuffs. The handcuffs are not that you earn more. The handcuffs are that you cannot afford to earn less. You fear losing face, fear being judged, fear starting over. Think of it like this. If you can live with expenses below your income, you are buying the right to say no. The right to say no to a toxic boss. The right to say no to meaningless work. The right to say no to anything that grinds you down. That is real status. Not the car in the driveway. I like one line. Not everyone can become rich fast, but everyone can become less controlled. When you create a gap between income and expenses, you create time. Time creates thinking. Thinking creates opportunity. I want you to adopt a new measurement. Not how big your salary is, but how much you keep. Someone who earns $80,000 and keeps $20,000 can be wealthier than someone who earns $120,000 and keeps zero. The first person has freedom. The second person has pressure. If you want one concrete action after this video, do a simple exercise for 10 minutes. Open your list of recurring charges. Look at each one and ask what it buys you, survival or approval. If it buys approval, mark it, because that is where you can reclaim control without blowing up your life. And finally, I want to land this. $100,000 is not a sin, and it is not salvation. It is just a number. What matters is whether you use that number to build a prison or build a bridge. The bridge does not need to sparkle, it only needs to hold. If you are in the season of a promotion, a raise, and somehow more exhaustion, share this video with a friend. Save them before they sign a new contract just to feel worthy for a few weeks. I will see you in the next video. And remember, you were not born to be a pipeline for someone else's profit. You are the one holding the control panel, and it is time you learned how to read it.